Lock out this signal. Signal stored.
You guys are going to Spirit, right?
Yes.
Okay. First flight out's always the busiest. Interesting. 7 o'clock flight, right?
Yeah.
It's always the busiest. Out of all the flights, hundreds of flights a day, the busiest one is the first one. I guess every airline has a 7 o'clock flight too. That's what it is. So, how many planes they could fit here? They all do a 7 o'clock flight. The most common time for people to fly is the first 7 o'clock flight.
Be as busy.
And this,
right?
this airport is growing and is adding new terminals and new airlines and new more planes. So this line's only going to get longer every morning. And your terminal's the last terminal, so it could take literally another 15, 20 minutes to get there. Maybe not. We'll see. Spirit's building a new terminal here right now under construction, Terminal 5. They moved their hub here from New Jersey. Yeah, interesting. They filed for bankruptcy right before Christmas.
Yeah, I
They
know.
built their corporate office right here in Fort Lauderdale and employed thousands of young people right out of college. And then right after they built the building, right after they got their grand opening, right after they started construction on the 5th terminal for them, they filed for bankruptcy. That should not be legal.
No.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They don't have to pay the construction people now. They don't have to pay Fort Lauderdale. They could just put all those bills on hold and just keep operating and keep making money during the busiest time of the year. Yeah, only in America that can happen. Yeah, you'd think somebody would confiscate their planes or something, but nope. They just keep bringing more planes here from New Jersey, and you don't see it, but after I drop you off, I drive past the construction site. The guys are probably starting work right now, building this brand new terminal for them, and they're not getting paid. Or at least postponed payment. You know, or that contractor. The contractor is going to have to either walk away from that project, which he doesn't want to do, because then it will never get paid, or just keep trying to borrow money to pay his workers. Well, who knows? Maybe they are getting paid, but in my experience, you file for corporate bankruptcy, nobody gets paid until the trustee decides what's going on.
It could take years.
Yeah, and the trustees. The trustee's really the main person, and it seems very fraudulent that a public company like that could invest all this money in real estate and construction, expansion, plans for the future, and then file for, right after all that gets going, file for bankruptcy, and then you don't have to pay anybody. Very fraudulent. I have a very weird feeling about Spirit.
As long as this plane gets back to Detroit, we good.
You know, people do complain about Spirit a lot.
Yeah.
They do have a lot of issues with them. A lot of flights getting bumped and stuff like that. But it is cheap. It is the cheapest airline.
It sure is.
Yeah.
I would have much rather flown United or Continental or Delta. But
Yeah, they don't do Continental here. American and Delta are the best ones here.
But it was double the price.
Yeah, and no, I know.
So stupid.
But in a way, you know, you realize the business plan of Spirit is, you know, anybody can start a business. If you're cheaper than your competition, you're going to be successful.
Right.
But how you're going to operate, that's the whole thing, right? There's not enough income to operate. That's exactly what happens with Spirit. If you think about it, everybody's using Spirit because they're the cheapest. So since they know that they have the most customers, because they have the most customers, they know that they got to expand because they need more planes. They have the most customers. They need more personnel. They need to grow the corporation in different hubs in different cities. But the only bad side about growing that big and that fast is that the price that you charge is not enough to operate the business. So that's why the accountants say, hey, you're doing great, congratulations. You know, even your stock is going up, but, you know, we don't have enough capital to operate the business, so we're going to have to file for bankruptcy and restructure the company. It might take a year, 18 months, but we should be able to do it. And little by little, they're probably going to start raising the prices. This is a sweet spot in the company where they can do this. Yeah.
You don't have to be half as cheap. You can just be a quarter as
Yeah, and eventually it'll be less expensive, but not this cheap. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my girlfriend just flew to North Carolina for $49 on Spirit.
Yeah.
$49.
That's crazy.
Yeah, North Carolina. Raleigh. Fort Lauderdale to Raleigh. On Spirit, yeah. And she just brought a knapsack. She didn't bring any I don't know if they charge you for luggage. They probably do, right?
They do.
Yeah,
everything is a charge.
Yeah, she sat in the back of the plane. She didn't get a chance to pick the seat. She just tried. She hasn't flown in 10 years, so she didn't know. Her daughter told her to go online and to do it, or maybe her daughter bought the ticket. But I know she tried to see how much it was going to cost because she's going to plan on doing that trip once a month. So she says, "Let me see what it's going to cost to take off a weekend or a month from work and go to North Carolina." And she says, "Wow, I can't believe it! I can get there and back for $100." And she says the Uber to her house costs more than that from the airport.
Yeah.
It costs $70 from the airport to where she lives. I forgot where where her daughter lives. But she said it was $70 for the Uber and it was only $49 for the plane ticket. I thought, wow, that's Spirit for you.
Yeah.
Anybody else would have been like $169 for that flight, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's not sustainable.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, they have a lot of planes here because right now they're paving Terminal 5, so they're gonna have Terminal 5. That's right now they're sharing Terminal 4, but they're gonna have Terminal 5 all to themselves. And right now there's they're actually paving the area, and there's some of the planes that are on grass that they haven't even paved yet. So for some reason, they're just bringing all the planes here, which were all housed in New Jersey or stored in New Jersey. The ones that I guess don't get used, or the ones that in between flights they need to land somewhere to hold the plane for the next flight. They was holding it in New Jersey. And now when I drive out of here, I look and I'm like, wow, there's 7 Spirit planes just lined up on the grass, on the ground. I'm like, how are they even planes can go on the ground? Those kind of planes? And then I see the guy, some guy in a truck pulls it out of the grass. So the pilot doesn't drive it out of the grass. There's a guy that has a truck. He bolts it to the front of the wheels or the front of the plane, and then he backs the truck up and he pulls the plane on the tarmac, leaves it there, and then that's when the pilot gets in there. Because you can see if there's a lot of traffic on the way out, you just sit and watch, and you're like, well, look, they're pulling a Spirit plane out of the grass. Yeah.
It's like trashy behavior, leaving your unused cars on the lawn.
And they can't wait fast enough for them to finish that terminal. Otherwise it would be on the pavement. It's just they haven't finished the pavement yet. Yeah. It was a parking lot. It was like it wasn't like a cell phone lot, but it was just like a parking lot that had a big grassy area after it. And I think they're going to build a parking garage probably. It's a big project. It's not going to be done until 2026, I think. Right now, the first thing is just to lay the concrete for the planes, and then they're going to probably build the terminal. They didn't even build the terminal yet. Yeah, they didn't even build the terminal. So this is a horseshoe, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then it used to just go out to the road, and now it's just they're making that horseshoe bigger, where 5 is going to be there. So yeah, it's going to be another year or two. But like I said, they started the project and boom, filed for bankruptcy. They also, one of the main streets here is called US 1. It's a street that goes up and down the East Coast, and the airport's right off that street. And they built extra runways over that street. So now when you go to the street, you're actually going to a tunnel, because above you is the planes. So the last couple of years, they did build either longer or more runways in this airport by building a tunnel and having the plane go over the road. So the plot of land wasn't big enough to make the airport bigger, so they just said, well, let's just build it over the streets and build a tunnel. So they've been expanding this airport since they built it. It seems like. Yeah, it's because you went to Miami, right? Yeah. So everybody's flying into. So not only is Spirit less expensive than all the other airlines, but Fort Lauderdale is less expensive than Miami.
Yeah, true.
So that's why a lot of people fly into Fort Lauderdale. Most of our business, I'd say 80% of our business, is
driving to Miami.
Fort Lauderdale, Miami. Yeah, we pick up at Miami Airport too, but most people that are going to Miami are flying in. North Americans, tourists. International tourists fly into Miami because they can't fly into here because there's no like British Airways here, or the international airlines aren't really here, right? So they have to fly into Miami. So then I picked them up because they can't price shop. They have to fly into Miami. But people in North America that can fly JetBlue and Spirit, like Spirit's in Miami too, JetBlue, they're all in Miami too. But yeah, it's $100 more a ticket to fly into Miami, and that's mostly because that's an old airport. It's very crowded too, and the only way they can kind of get people to not go to Miami is to ask the airlines to discount the flights here to get the traffic away from Miami, to leave the international travel. That's why they call that Miami International. Even though this is Fort Lauderdale International, nobody calls it that because it's not really an international airport because you only have a few airlines that are international. Well, Miami, most of them are international. So, yeah, they do that because they only want the Europeans and people from other countries flying into Miami, and they want all the North Americans flying into here to free up Miami. That's really what the whole object is. Yeah. So right after this will be another terminal. Yeah. Right now that's the exit of the airport.
So we might come back and see Terminal 5 someday.
Yeah, you should. You should move here. The sooner the better.
Don't know what the future holds.
It's just getting more expensive here. Everybody that moves here says, I wish I would have moved 10 years before. Me included. Look at that line. Exactly. Yeah. See, what were we just talking about?
Yeah.
Right? Unfortunately, that's the downside. The great side is it's very expensive to fly Spirit. The downside is you got to wait in that line. I'm sure there's no line in American right now because American's tickets are $100 more than yours, maybe more.
They were $400 more.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? It does, right. But you know what? It's worth it to save money and come here because it is expensive. Vacations in South Florida are very expensive. So thank God for Spirit because most people wouldn't come to Florida if it wasn't for Spirit. It would be too expensive for them. I agree.
I'm gonna go stand in that line.